Have you ever listened to productivity advice and felt worse afterward? Not because it was wrong, but because it made you question yourself. It says, just wake up earlier. Just manage your time better. Just be more disciplined. And when that doesn't work, you assume you're the problem. That feeling, that subtle, maybe I'm just not capable. That's why productivity advice can feel like gaslighting. Not because it's malicious, but because it ignores context. Gaslighting, in its real definition, is when someone makes you question your perception of reality. Now, most productivity advice is not intentionally manipulative, but it does something subtle. It presents a simplified model of how work should function. And when your lived experience doesn't match that model, it suggests the issue is internal. More effort, more structure, more discipline, not more context. And that's where the friction begins. Most productivity advice assumes stable energy, predictable environments, low interruption, high autonomy. But many people operate under high responsibility, emotional labor, unpredictable demands, limited control. When the advice ignores load, it frames outcomes as personal. If it worked for someone else, it should work for you. But that only holds true if the conditions match, and often they don't. When advice doesn't account for context, it produces a specific emotional response: shame, self-doubt, confusion. You think, other people can do this. What's wrong with me? But here's what's actually happening. You're applying a low-load framework to a high-load environment. Of course it feels harder. Of course it feels inconsistent. And when the advice insists that it's simple, your experience feels invalidated. That's the gaslighting sensation. Not because someone lied, but because your reality wasn't included in the model. We live in a culture that optimizes everything. Morning routines, deep work blocks, habit stacking, time blocking. All of those tools can be useful, but optimization assumes surplus capacity. You can't optimize what's already overloaded. If your schedule is saturated, if your nervous system is elevated, if your margin is gone, no planner fixes that. And when the solution keeps being try harder, it creates distance between advice and reality. Instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Ask, what assumptions is this advice making? Does it assume predictable energy, flexible time, minimal responsibility? Because if the assumptions don't match your environment, the solution won't either. That's not weakness, that's misalignment. Productivity advice isn't evil, it's incomplete. And when you add context back in, you stop blaming yourself for structural mismatches. If productivity advice has felt discouraging lately, it may not be because you're incapable. It may be because the model didn't account for your load. You don't need louder systems. You need realistic ones. And once context is included, the shame usually disappears.